Hello and welcome to Paula's Run Club, the Shakeout, with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Thompson.
And today's episode is brought to you by HIGH5, our very exciting brand new podcast sponsor.
Yes, very much so. It's very cool to have them on board and have a brand that you've used, I've used, and are very familiar with, and we genuinely love. So it's fantastic they partnered with us on this, and excited to show them off and help us answer some questions
and move forward. And as you said, it's a product that we believe in because we've used it. So I know that the electrolytes for hydration to the energy gels for keeping you fueled during those runs, they work. We've had Wendy on talking about it as well, and it genuinely is something that we can recommend. And so you can head to high5.co.uk. You can use the discount code Paula in capitals 25, and you get an extra 25% off your order. So high five, that's fueling that high five feeling, Tomo.
Well, and it's cool. We got some hopefully exciting things in the pipeline with them as well, because they're a company that take pride in their product and the science behind it, and so hopefully we're going to get to show that kind of side of things go down the route, and when time comes we can sort of reveal some more stuff in the pipeline and sort of behind the scenes that goes on. But yeah, very exciting partnership, and it's great to have someone on board to help us with our messaging, because that's again a big part of this is a massive part of what we do and what we're trying to talk about: hydration, fueling, everything. So yes, excited to have them on board and help us push out what we talk about. So yeah.
So do you want to kick off with the first of the listener questions this week? We are still catching up, so apologies for that. We are catching up from a bit of a backlog. So if we don't get to you this week, promise we'll get to you next week.
Well, or at some point.
The week after.
Careful what you promise, Paula.
Okay.
We're not.
Go on then.
To be fair, and it's great, is there's so many coming through that we are passionate to kind of get through as much as we can. So, hi, Paula and Chris. Firstly, I love the podcast. It's a wealth of information, great guests, and I genuinely love listening. Thank you so much. I'm yet to miss a podcast. That's awesome. Thank you.
Brilliant.
I was hoping to ask a general question about arthritis and running, as you both have spent years in the sport and are surrounded by lots of runners and the trials and tribulations that come with that and with the pursuit to run for life. I'm 31 and I have a very sporty. I had a very sporty childhood, rugby and martial arts being my go-to. Oh, very cool. It's actually Gemma's parents were karate goers. Gemma's mum was actually a karate world champion, believe it or not, which not many people are aware of.
That's got you behaving.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, she does. Luckily, I've had no judo chops from her or her mum so far. I'm all right. I'm surviving. But yeah, it is interesting meeting your outlaws, as I like to jokingly call them. And you go, one's a fire chief and was in the Marines, and the other one's a world karate champion. You behave yourself. Anyway, I digress. Fortunately, early in my 20s, developed hip problems, significant hip impingement and labral tears, which I had my right hip surgically repaired in my late 20s. At the time of the surgery, I was told that I had early hip osteoarthritis, which with similar issues on my left. I had to move on from any team sports as I just didn't have the range of my hips to change direction under high loads. That is how I stumbled my way into running, and fast forward 2 years, I completed my first marathon in Vienna in 3 hours and 30 seconds.
Wow.
Missing out by sub 3 by seconds. Man, that's tantalizing. Needless to say, I'm now set on trying to go under 2 hours 55 and get a Boston qualifying time. Fantastic. However, I always feel like I have this label of arthritis over me, and it doesn't take more than a quick Google to be told that running should be stopped. I always Google it's a good and a bad thing, isn't it? In all honesty, it's often the gym work that causes the most issue, and that I've learned to adapt where I can, and running high mileage will probably never be for me. I peaked at 70k for my first marathon. I assume that's a week, and that was enough. I really hope to make running a lifelong hobby, and have any of you known people that have continued to run long term despite having these types of limitations? I know, Paula, you manage your foot with modifications for years, and maybe it's just one of these scenarios. I just don't want to give up on my Boston dream yet. Thanks in advance. Both keep the pod coming, provides me with lots of motivation. Dave, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think absolutely, Dave, you're doing the right things as it is. You're listening to your body. I think get the advice from the specialists on what you're doing. But while it feels good and while it's actually been able to withstand it, I would go with what you're continuing to do. Stay off-road as much as possible. Use the cross training, use the gym work around that, and really pay attention to your shoes and get the best advice there. So it's not about speed, it's about protecting the joints and working with it in that way. So if you haven't got orthotics, look at those. Certainly use the very well cushioned super shoes. So rather than carbon plates, I would really say go for all of the new foams, which are saving the impact on your joints, because that is what kind of makes arthritis that much worse. Keeping everything strong around it, nutrition wise, doing what you can to keep down the inflammation. If it's osteoarthritis in the joints, will really help as well. And the very best of luck. And I would say never on your dreams, just keep working towards it, but just listen to the advice from around you as well.
I think, because it was actually Joni that mentioned her hips, didn't she?
Yeah.
And she said that if the doctors look at a scan, they kind of would label her a bit like what Google can sometimes, with limitations of what you shouldn't do. It's not often you Google something and it gives you a list of things you can do. It gives you the negative, which you have to listen to. But it's like you're saying, it's almost like it's about working with them rather than stopping you. And I think there is a definite messaging there of getting the right advice and then empowering yourself to do what you can do. I have a labral tear which has not been fixed, and I've had medical help, but I have to do a lot of stabilizing stuff around my hip so it doesn't aggravate. And I do have bone growth in my sacrum from an old fracture, so I am managing my hip in a slightly different way, but it's keeping the structures around it strong. And then, like everything you've just said, it's trying to do exercises or the amount of running you do to not over aggravate it and find your sweet spot. So
you mentioned Joni, that advice that she gave was brilliant as well. And what did you say? Breaststroke. Breaststroke swimming really helped to open up and mobilize the hips and keep them moving. So that's another tip as well, and the very best of luck.
But that just to find that point, because that's the balance, isn't it? I think the fear is you're irritating the joint, but actually the breaststroke probably was helping the stuff around it to help the joint. So it is kind of like the balance between risking irritating it acutely, but actually helping the structures around it to help. So anyway,
and doing it in cold water as well, which I think is a benefit too. So all of those things. Be creative, and the very best of luck, Dave. And please let us know how it goes if you get to Boston, when you get to Boston.
And no, I haven't been in the ice bath. No, before you ask.
You put yourself in that one. I didn't even. I was letting you off this week. So this is actually one that's come in on the WhatsApp number, and it's from Rachel. And basically, Rachel got sick, and a chest infection meant that even though she was going for a PB, she got it on the week before, missed Wednesday's run, and was not able to do the half marathon. As she said, she was in her final week before the race when she fell ill and missed one run on the Wednesday before the race. I'm thinking that she'll be able to start a gentle return to running next week. Not sure how long it will take to get back to fitness and be strong enough to go for that PB again. She does say that I'm happy to run the 13.1 miles alone and make my own race if there isn't anything in the calendar. Biggest question is how much the illness has drained her, and I do think that's the most important point. I do have another half in February and then Brighton Marathon in the spring, so wanted to have a little break from more serious training before that training block starts. So perhaps it would be more sensible to wait. She's confused basically, and says this build-up has been such an anticlimax because she was fitter and stronger than ever before and buzzing for the race. Right, so what do you think, Toma? Because I do think that if she had that fitness there, it's basically once she feels healthy enough, she can go for it.
I think she's got two options. Like it's exactly that. One of them, and I've been in this position, and I know other athletes have. They wait till they're clear of the illness, and once you do get back running, that glumpy or that kind of sludgy feeling is actually just because you've got so much energy built up. It's not actually lack of fitness. It's actually just your glycogen stores are so full. So you would need probably a couple of runs just to flush that out and get your legs going, but you'd be ready to race as soon as you feel capable, and that fitness will still be there. Or you give yourself a week or two just to do a couple of sessions for your confidence more than your fitness. Or the third option is you postpone it. But I think never make a decision in the moment of feeling ill. You've got to make your decisions once you're clear of that, and you're clear of mind, and you're clear of you're able to make a decision that's not clouded in kind of dealing with that moment of illness would be my suggestion.
Yeah,
But nothing's
totally.
off the table. Your fitness is not gone. It's athletes get ill in the build up to championships all the time and go on to win gold medals and all kinds of things. It happens more often than you have. And a number of times, I remember,
Yeah.
was it Noah Lyles last year was ill the week of a race and he got second, or he
Yeah,
raced
and
ill,
then he
didn't
came
he?
back to win the 200.
Yeah.
Was it not
So
that way around?
I can't exactly remember,
Yeah.
but my point is a lot of athletes talk about that they fall ill while in that kind of environment of athletes that are peak of their performance, but they're very vulnerable because their immune system's fighting like crazy. So this is not a doom and gloom scenario without a doubt. You've got that close, and your fitness is very much still there, because in theory being ill is just making you rest and actually gonna actually make you feel fitness wise will do you some good. It's just the fact and you feel a bit miserable, but that would be my feeling on it.
Totally. I mean, listen to your body, check your pulse, check your morning pulse and things like that.
Yeah.
When you know that you're healthy, the fitness will still be there. Why you're feeling bad now is the effect of the illness. So absolutely the worst thing to do is try and run anything while you're ill. But once you're better, as we said, that fitness is still there. If you do decide that it takes you a while to get over this and then you just want to start the build up for the half in February and the Brighton Marathon, you can do that. But remember, all of that training is in the bag. That hasn't gone away. That is there for the future, and all you're doing is building on top of that. So very best of luck, Rachel, and I hope you're feeling better already.
When you're ill, fluids,
yes,
best way to deal with it. And I'm not, I mean, it's apt that we've got 5-5, but genuinely the number of times people talk about issues, and hydration is one of the best ways to deal with that problem. And being ill, your system is crying out for hydration and flushing that system out, and electrolytes, all that stuff is absolutely spot on to help you to clear it out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and with injuries as well.
Yeah,
not just illness.
And with massage and with everything.
An ice bath.
And
With the ice bath. Right, have you got the next one?
Yes, right. Next one. IT band. Right. Hi, Paula. Not me, so this is to you, Paula. Hi, Paula. I'm currently 4 weeks out from New York Marathon, and in my 20-mile air, my IT band tightened, causing pain around my knee. Yes, had that a lot. I have seen a physio and stretching and working the muscle around it. I feel I can still go ahead with the marathon if I can rest and only train slow miles. Low miles. I've managed 2 20-milers, but we were 5 and 6 weeks out. What was your thoughts? I'm 54 and was on track for a good for age for London. Thank you, Paula.
Well, I think first and foremost, you've got to loosen out that IT band, and it is really hard. I mean, it's basically a physio getting in with an elbow or a forearm and really going deep. Or you can try one of those massage tools, the massage guns that actually will hit it quite hard. Probably the best thing if you're doing it yourself is a foam roller. And the kind of more rigid the foam roller, the better. And just gradually progress to putting the full weight on it as you're rolling up and down, because that is crucial. It will be painful. It is painful. Just think no pain, no gain. The more it hurts, the more it's loosening it off. And that will really help you if you can do it before and after. Icing might actually help as well. And the only other thing I would suggest is checking out your running shoes, because sometimes if they've worn a little bit and you're loading a little bit more laterally than you were in the beginning, that puts more strain on the IT bands. Do you think, Tom?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would add, in my experience, and because obviously you always have to cover it, is stretching will irritate it rather than help it, because when the sheath of the IT is stuck, and by stretching it, you're not going to move them, you're just going to irritate them. And actually it's the hard massage that Paul is talking about to really get those the sheath of the muscle to move. And to add to what Paul is saying about how it's happened, I would look at the glute activation, the glute med in that particular hip. Get that activated, because if the IT is overloading, it's usually because the glute's not fully taking the load, and then knee or your leg is collapsing in and overworking the IT, because the IT is trying to pull you back centrally, and then the knee kind of gets a bit irritated. So look at that glute med activation, strip out. And the good thing with ITs, I don't know if you found this, Paula, is sometimes with muscles it takes a good 10-15 minutes to loosen off. With an IT, if you go through it hard and it's painful, it's not many, you don't have to do it for long. It's just a short, sharp hit, and it usually kind of gets annoyed but releases quite quickly, that particular muscle. And you could get to it sooner than you think.
Yeah, totally. So I would say just get on that a couple of times a day, Tomo. Certainly before you go out running, and afterwards, and don't neglect the stretching on other areas like the glutes as well.
And to your point as well, if you do have it massaged, which is quite sore, ice it as well, like Paula said, just to ease it off. So it's because it can be quite throbby afterwards, can't it? After you've had treatment. But yeah, notorious one, IT bands. It's like a real nuisance one, isn't it? But but good luck for New York. I'm sure you'll be fine with the right treatment, and those 2 runs you've done in the bag will carry you. You just need to touch base, and you'll be fine. Good luck.
Loosen it off, and the fitness is there. Yeah, very best of luck, and please let us know how you get on. Right, the next one, again from the WhatsApps, comes from Holly. Hi, Paula and Tomo. Love the podcast. I'm a working mum with a toddler trying to continue with running. Here you go, Tomo. Thinking of doing my first marathon or ultra marathon since having my daughter. Is it doable on 3 runs a week? It would be much less days than when I did a marathon before, training-wise, I think she means. Any tips? Thanks, Holly. Well, I think the first thing to remember, Holly, is that you do have the benefit of all the hormones going round and the happiness of being a new time mum. So all of those things are in your favour energy-wise. And then what do you think, Tomo? Is it possible on 3 days a week?
Do you know what? To use Crammy, who we had on a previous episode on the first series, when he says we're all capable of way more capable of incredible things than we realise. And so the answer bluntly is yes. I think it's possible. I think anything that something like that will make it more challenging, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. And she didn't say, did she, how much time in those 3 times a week? Because that kind of is relevant, because like Crammy said as well, he said, how much time do you have? And some people talk about, I've got 3 times a week. Well, it's like, how big is that window for those each times? Because that actually could be more than someone training 5 days a week who's only got half an hour, but they're out the door 5 times. If you're 3 times, I would say trying to be as specific as you can with that time, with what you're trying to do, and almost like ignore some of the kind of the fluff around the edges, and be very specific on what you're trying to do around that the training, I think, is the way to do it. But yes, you can. And like Crammy said, anything, we're all capable of incredible things. And like Paula said, use that happiness you're getting from what's happened in your life to kind of fuel it, because it's life is there to kind of try incredible things.
And be creative with it as well. I think that's the big thing. Pull in your support crew around you to look after your daughter while you're doing your training, so you can focus on that and you're not worried about her well-being. Or find ways to bring her with you, whether it's running with a running stroller, or whether it's putting her with somebody else who's going to be around the route to be able to hand you drinks. You can work with those and make it work for you, while you know that she's fully looked after, and you can concentrate on just enjoying your training and making the most of it.
Yeah, it was funny when Theo was strong enough to go on the back of a bike, and then so Gemma would cycle next to me with Theo on the back, and he'd be like that Cox in the rowing, just yelling at me. And it was like, it was quite funny. But again, like it's what you're insinuating, combining family with running as much as you can, and there's lots of ways to do that fits for you. But yeah,
brilliant.
Cool.
So we've got time for one more, I think, at least.
Is that me?
Have you got one? Otherwise I've got another one.
No, I've got one here. Nadeem. Okay, right. Hello. First of all, thank you for your fantastic podcast. Thank you very much. I've been running for a while, and it's good to hear some of the lessons I've learned the hard way. It's good to hear some of the lessons I've heard the hard way, as well as picking up new tips. I will turn 50 in a couple of weeks and decided to challenge myself to get 50 medals in my 50th year. This is a minimum of 1 marathon per month. have already signed up to 5 of them, and the remaining runs being half marathons. I have run multiple marathons, half marathons, including my first 100k ultra this year, but never back to back. I plan to do these on the weekend, so my question is, what run should I do during the week? I was thinking 1 to 2 5Ks just to keep the legs moving, but would appreciate your advice. This is purely about finish lines and not finishing times. Regards, Nadine. That's important. Last bit at the end is important to say that, yes.
And also, it's really important that you count, because all of these marathons that you're doing are training in their own right. And so I would say, first of all, kind of pick your... What do you think, Tom? Pick the highlight ones out of there. So the ones that you want to maybe aim to go for a little bit more of a performance in, and use the others as training with that. So he's absolutely right. A couple of like easy runs in the week between, particularly when they're close together, is absolutely all you need. Maybe even cross training in there as well, just to help flush out the legs and recover a little bit.
Yeah, and I think how... I'm kind of rereading his email as you're answering, and I'm kind of... how he structures the races will matter, because you could almost, exactly as you're saying, using the racing and training, you know, if you're doing 100k ultra, then the races around that need to be sympathetic to that distance, so being shorter, and trying to like you say, exactly what you just said, using the racing to help the racing, or the races to fuel the races. So how you structure them will be important, but for sure, when you're doing the longer races, you're going to need to factor in a lot more recovery in the week, and when you're doing the shorter races, maybe you could just do a few reasonable length but easy running, but I certainly don't think you need to be doing a huge amount of training in between. But you'll feel it out, because 5k just to keep the measure would be it, because I think speed play is an important part of just helping you condition yourself. So try not to get too stuck in just one pace. I know you want to just finish, but sticking in a few kind of fartlek sessions, i.e. kind of a bit of, if you're doing a 30-minute run or a 5k jog, just sticking in a few surges just to keep the conditioning in your legs, so that your body doesn't get too monotonous in one pace, and just offset injury risks. And that's what I'm more talking about, not about performance. I'm just trying to help the body get used to kind of... it's almost like in football, you're constantly chopping and changing and stuff like that. In running, we can almost get too metronome. So just add a bit of speed in there, a few hill surges, things like that, just to keep the conditioning going through your body, so your body doesn't get too dragged down in a one pace or one way of doing things, just to get you through the year so that you can physically achieve your goal, which is incredible, by the way.
Absolutely. And do please remember that you have to keep really, really well fueled, and of course hydrated, but especially fueled through all of that. So really look into the fact that, because the sooner you've got that 20-minute window, haven't you, when you finish the training runs, but certainly when you finish the longer races or the longer runs that you're doing as events, really make sure that you've got a family member waiting, or you've packed in your bag that you can pick up at the finish your recovery drink, get some carbs and get some rehydration into you as soon as possible, because that's really going to accelerate the recovery and mean that by the middle of the week you're starting to feel recovered, ready for the next one. Because 52 weeks a year, you're going to be absolutely slamming it to get all that in. So very best of luck.
Do you know any recovery products, Paula?
It's almost like as if we were sponsored by one.
I know,
so,
but it's true.
But
it's true. But it is true. Like in terms of like, that's the thing. It's like, I didn't think of that, and it's a really good point of being on top of that fueling and the height is going to be a big part of the success of this challenge, as well as the injury stuff. So
and getting used to the same thing. You obviously won't be able to always take on board what you've used maybe during the events themselves, but you can in the before and after, and you can during the training, and just make sure that you're giving your body absolutely everything and enough sleep. Please, enough sleep to cope with that challenge, because it's a huge challenge, and sleep is when your body recovers and regenerates as well. So I think that's probably all we've got time for. We're just going to wrap again with a huge thank you to HIGH5 for coming on board as the sponsor of this weekly Shakeout. We are honoured to have you on board. Basically, everything from electrolytes to energy gels, whether it's hydration or that fueling during the event itself, as Tom is keeping hydrated. So thank you once again for joining us, and please do remember to keep these listener interactions coming in. That email is paulasrunclub@momentumbroadcast.co.uk. The text for the WhatsApp number is +44 7564 747 914, and of course on socials at Paula's Run Club. You can watch the full episodes on YouTube. Do not forget the weekly Shakeout, now sponsored by HIGH5, and they are the sports nutrition from elites to everyday runners, everything from electrolytes to energy gels, so keeping you hydrated and fueled for all of your runs. And we have that extra special discount code for you, Paula25 at checkout, when you head to high5.co.uk, and that will get you a 25% off. This has been the Weekly Shakeout. It's a Momentum Broadcast production. Thank you for listening. Please send in more questions, and we'll see you next week, Tomo.
Yeah, thanks very much. See you guys.